tomorrow as, now you can – listen, July's a little early for scoreboard watching, or August clearly isn't, but off this weekend coming up, you'll be seeing people reference what the Red Sox do virtually every night the rest of the way. I mean, that's the way it goes. That's the way it's going to go here. July, August, September. Their meetings are going to be exclamation points, as will happen here starting tomorrow. The pitching has been set up both ways. So everybody's got the pitching lined up. That's why Sessa pitched. So here we go as we get ready for the Yankees and the Red Sox. But first, a couple of minutes on the Metropolitans before we, like we said, send them packing into the version of baseball oblivion for a week. Joe starts us off. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Mike, how you doing? Long-time listener, you're the best. Lifelong Met fan. Mm-hmm. Moving forward, I'm just so upset with what's going on with this organization year after year. You got the Grom, you got Syndergaard. Are you bringing in... I mean, the Wilpons probably won't do it. Would you keep them and bring in like a guy like a Machado, like the Mets did in '98 with Piazza, and then work around that? Or are you blowing the whole thing up? Because, I mean, this is crazy.
I think it is. Listen, I know that they are reluctant to trade DeGrom, extremely reluctant, said they would have to be just overwhelmed. Less so with Syndergaard, but again, Syndergaard's value until he comes back and pitches is not what it should be. So you don't want to trade him on 60 cents on the dollar. You don't want to do that. So considering the injury bug of late, that makes it tougher from that standpoint. Anybody else virtually on the team is obtainable. I don't see there being a big market. Can you ship a couple of guys into a pennant race? Absolutely. But that's not stuff that's going to rebuild your team. The question you have to answer first is, A, would you trade one or the other? If you're going to, then you know there's going to be far more attention this year paid to DeGrom than Syndergaard because for very, very obvious reasons. Because Syndergaard has been hurt and DeGrom has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, he changes the fortunes of a team in the pennant race. But the Mets are going to want an incredible amount for him. Incredible amount. They're going to want to change their destiny for him. It's going to make a trade very tough. Then the question you have to answer is, if you are not ready to name, Rico, the GM, and he's the candidate. The other two guys are not the candidates to be the general manager. Okay, this is not three guys equal to be the general manager. Omar doesn't want to be the general manager. I don't know what JP wants, but he's not going to be the general manager. It'll either be Rico or it'll be an outsider. So that'll be the way it works. It won't work any other way. Omar's going to be in the organization. He's going to be the Gene Michael of this organization for a long time. I don't know what JP will do. Omar's going to handle, as we know, he's going to handle the amateur drafts. He's going to have the international stuff. He's going to also chip in other areas. JP's going to handle most of the major league stuff. We know that too. And John's going to be the point guy, be the main guy. But again, they're all going to be heard and they're all got to talk to ownership. But the question is this. If you are not sure that you have your general manager in tow, if you don't, and you're going to go shopping, and you can't go shopping for a general manager until the season's over because you got to ask permission of other teams, and that's not done in season. So you have to wait till the season's over. Are you willing to give a guy the right to try to rebuild your franchise, but you're not giving him the job? I mean, that's a tricky thing to do, a very tricky thing to do. So you're not ready to commit to a guy, but you're ready to commit all your resources to the guy and let him rebuild the team? So you know what the first thing I'm going to say if I'm named the general manager? Why didn't you wait to let me trade this guy? Why didn't you allow me where I could, make the deal? If I'm the new general manager, I'm going to say, why didn't I get to do this? Now, there's maybe a chance that he says, wow, you know what? I think the guy did a great job. But there's also a chance where he says, I wouldn't have made that deal. You had these chips to play. Now, here's what I would say. And this is why I think it's a very different thing. Unless the injuries to Syndergaard are such that they make his value nil right now to what it should be. If I'm going to trade one, I'm going to trade both and start over. I don't halfway it. If I'm going to deal those guys, I'm either going to keep those guys in there, the core of my rebuilding program, or I'm going to get rid of both of them and start over from scratch. I'm not going to halfway it, except I have to know that I can get what I want for Syndergaard. If Syndergaard is just a case of the injuries drawing up his market, well, then that's something that could happen too. You have to take that into account. Clearly the more marketable one, but also they are very reluctant to trade him, number one. Exceedingly reluctant to trade him. And they want to be blown away, I mean, absolutely blown away with an outrageous offer. The odds on those happening are not great. And then you have the other issues to deal with. So there's a lot of issues still to deal with here as far as that goes. Mark in Astoria. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
So, obviously, you weren't here during the off-season to hear the frustration of a lot of the fans and what we were complaining about. But quite honestly, outside of maybe Jay Bruce just having a disastrous year, is anything that's really happened to the Mets this year all that surprising?
Well, I mean, listen, Cespedes being out all this time is surprising. Syndergaard being out all this time is surprising.
But these were guys that have been,
Syndergaard has a freakish index finger injury.
But it always seems to be something that.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, that it's always something. It wasn't always something in 15. It wasn't always something in 16. So I mean,
you're right.
So I mean, but this year everything. Listen, as Sandy said the other day, I brought in these guys are what I would call my 8 guys that I made a deal for. Every one of them is underachieving. I mean, the odds on 8 of them underachieving at 8 is outrageous, and that's really what's happening. Yes, and that's what. I mean, look at the Bruce thing. The Bruce thing. Guy had 36 homers last year.
Yeah, it's an anomaly. It's crazy.
Knocked in 100 runs. The guy's got 18 RBIs.
So now, do you think Rico or these guys that are in charge right now, do they have to play with like a light hand where they're restricted?
Well, you see, that is the
question. Moves they can make?
Well, listen, no. My understanding is they're not restricted. But again, if you're the owner, you have to ask yourself this question. If I'm not willing to name, and let's talk about Rico because he's the guy. If I'm not willing to name him the general manager, then why would I allow him to make these big trades?
Absolutely.
So that's the question.
In the hands of a guy who you're not secure with.
Right. So if you don't believe he's the guy, okay, then if you don't believe he's the guy, then you don't let him make these trades. Okay? Don't let him make these trades. John in Jersey. What's up, John?
How you doing, Mike?
What's happening? What's happening?
I mean, I keep looking at the Mets, and I mean, you're not going to get anything, if you deal Zach Wheeler and Jeurys Familia and Steven Matz. I mean, I get it, Syndergaard at this point being hurt. I mean, people are going to want to not trade for him.
They're going to want to steal him. No, they're going to want to steal him is what they're going to want to do.
Exactly. So, I mean, I ended up giving a couple of these thoughts. I mean, what do really good teams right now in baseball have? Really solid up-the-middle infielders. Look at the Yankees. They got Didi and Gleyber. Look at the Astros. They got Altuve and Correa. So, I mean, I'm not saying Rosario is going to be a superstar, but if you pair him with another guy in the infield, now I'm thinking about a couple trades here. One of them includes a middle infielder. You go to the Cubs. You say, okay, DeGrom, Nimmo, Asdrubal Cabrera. I mean, I know it's a big deal, but
wait a minute, but I haven't heard the Cubs as even being active in this stuff. I don't even know if they're an active player. The Cubs, to be honest with you, I don't think they are. I mean, you're talking about. Listen, the deal is this: for the teams that think they can win it or need a starting pitcher. Does any of them blow you away with a deal you can't resist for DeGrom? That's really what it's about. That's really what this is about. That's really all it's about. Jack in Long Beach. What's up, Jack?
What's going on, Mike? Congrats on the whole thing.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you.
2 questions for you, and then I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah.
Number one, is there any chance, since you were saying, I think earlier in the week, that Girardi doesnn't mind going to a rebuild?
Girardi told me that.
Is there any way that you think he'd come to the Mets?
Well, remember this though: they have a manager right now, and he's not
going to be here long though.
But he got 3 years and an option. Are you telling me the Mets are going to eat his deal?
I don't know, man. Anything looks better than what he's got.
Well, listen, I understand that. he could go because the new general manager says, I have to have my own manager. But they did give him 3 years and an option. So it's not like they gave him a 1-year deal. So I don't know if they eat that. The Mets aren't prone. They're not prone to doing that. So I don't know if that happens or doesn't happen right now. To me, I want him to have a better. See, I don't think, and this is always a dangerous thing. I don't think he understands yet the difference between being a really smart pitching coach and being a manager. And it's a big difference. As Rick Majerus said to me, if an assistant coach doesn't realize the 18 inches he slides down the bench from being an assistant to a head coach is like traveling around the world in how different it is, then he's in trouble. Your whole world changes in those 18 inches that you slide down the bench. From being a guy who just makes recommendations, who's the player's friends, who only has a nice, smiley, pleasant relationship with the media, to the guy who is the guy and has to deal with the players and deal with the owner and deal with the media and deal with the consequences and make the big bucks and deal with the wins and losses. That's the manager. It's a whole different world. And not only that, he comes at it from a pitching coach, which is always a very precarious way to do it because pitching coaches have historically had very shaky runs. Not everyone, but very shaky runs as managers. And listen, I trust Francona. I like Francona a lot personally. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. Love him as a manager. I think he's the best manager in baseball. He loved Callaway. Loved. I think if he watched him with me every night, day after day, he'd be shocked at how. And I'm sure he's been on the phone with Callaway a lot. I'm sure Callaway's been on the phone with Francona. I'm sure Francona told him a couple things. Be yourself. Be yourself. And be yourself to the players, be yourself to the media. But this guy has been way too laid back. And he's had a hard time managing. He really has. He has not really been on top of the game the way you need to be as a manager. And I give the Met guys credit, the announcers, because they've been honest about it. Keith, Ron, Gary, they've been honest about it. They've called them out when they needed to call them out. That doesn't always happen on these local broadcasts. Matter of fact, it doesn't happen a lot on these local broadcasts. And they've called them out. And last night, give Figueroa credit because I was watching the postgame. He called him out in the postgame. Give Nelson credit. He called him out. I mean, he was an easy target last night, but fine. But he still did it. Gary in Long Island. What's up, Gary?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
What's happening?
I just had to sit back and laugh when I heard you talking about the Mets need a manager who is fiery and who has a pulse. Because I know that I'm going back a while, but wouldn't that have been Wally Backman?
No,
would have been
stop.
perfect?
You guys, listen, what you guys don't realize is Wally Backman's baggage is so outrageous to handle from an organization standpoint. It's just not going to happen.
Well, somebody like him at least.
Well, but there's a lot of guys like him. I mean, there's a lot of guys that can have a pulse and be feisty and be. And I don't listen. The guy doesn't have to be have a Pinella short fuse. He doesn't have to be Earl Weaver fighting with the umpires every day. In this day and age, these guys don't fight with the umpires as much as they used to because you got replay, you got challenges, you got everything going on. It's a different world, okay? It's not like it used to be. But you can get plenty of guys who are aware, okay? There were people who didn't like Bobby Valentine as a manager, but nobody ever accused Bobby Valentine of not knowing what was going on in a baseball game. Okay, and not thinking a baseball game. Bobby Valentine was always thinking a baseball game. He was. Bobby Valentine knew what he was doing. I mean, whether you liked him or agreed with him, and there were plenty of times I didn't agree with him, but he knew what he was doing. No one would ever question he didn't know baseball. I mean, he knew what he was doing. And I'm not saying Cal doesn't know baseball, but he's had a lot of trouble juggling the things you got to juggle. He's made a lot of tactical mistakes. If you watch these games, he has.
And do you think when they were 11-1, it was because basically they had their whole team together?
11-1 because they were playing well over their head. The ball bounced the right way. They weren't as good as when they were 11-1, but they have not had their whole team together. Would they be a much better team? Hey, the day you put Cespedes back in this lineup, they're a different lineup. He's a difference maker. He is. I said it. The preview I did on MLB Network with Dog in the preseason, I said that I thought he was the most valuable player in the sport, meaning that he meant more to his team than anybody else. If you pull him out of the lineup, you destroy the team. And I think that's true of him. They don't even exist offensively without him. And then Bruce on top of it. And then Conforto having a bad year. And then Frazier having a bad year. I mean, it's too much to overcome. They lost Deneau. Deneau hit a little bit. Last September, Deneau hit like crazy. He was at least a threat. Mark in Belmore, what's up, Mark?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, what's up?
Not too much. Well, first I just want to say I wish Sandy good health.
Yes.
But moving forward, I'm all for trading anyone and everyone if the right fit is there, getting younger, more talented, and getting top prospects that are major league ready. However, you can't do anything until you know who's steering the ship. Who's your GM? You have to know that before you can do anything.
You don't have. Well, that's what I just brought up. Is this: if you are not prepared to name, and Rico's the candidate. Okay, if you are not prepared to make him the general manager.
Right.
And you have every right to not make him the general manager, and then start a search. But then you can't trade your biggest chip until
you can't make any moves until you have.
Well, you can make. Listen, you can make a move. You can trade Cabrera for a prospect.
Well, yeah. Well, right.
You can't trade DeGrom though. You can't trade. You cannot trade them. Totally agree.
They cannot be moved until until you know who's running the show.
Totally. The guy who trades DeGrom and Syndergaard has to be the next general manager.
Exactly.
I totally agree with that, Mark, 100%. I totally agree. You cannot put that on the next general manager. You cannot tell me you gave a guy enough credence that you allowed him to make the trade that would change the direction of the franchise, but you don't have the faith in him to be the general manager. You can't sell that. That means you don't know what you're doing. If you do that, you have signaled to the world that you don't know what you're doing. Because how can you tell me, wait a second, I'm not sure he's my guy, but here you go, you're it. Well, wait a second. How do I do that? How do I let someone set the direction for the next 5 years of this franchise and then say he's not the guy to run the franchise? I can't have it both ways. So if you're telling me that I'm waiting for a new general manager, then those guys are staying. That doesn't mean you can't trade Cabrera. Doesn't mean you can't make a trade. Doesn't mean you can't send Familia package. Sure you can. But you can't trade the big two. Andrew in Huntington. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good,
I'm
what's
just a very frustrated Mets fan. I think the only solution is to just move the team somewhere else. Just get rid of the team. I just can't be a fan of that team anymore.
Well, that's a absolutely worthless, answer because that isn't happening. The Mets are a very solid franchise. I'd like to own them today. You know what? If I could own the Mets today, I'm in. I'll tell you right now. So the idea that franchise can't stay where it is and be good, it could be good. That's a big time franchise. So it's not things aren't going well right now, but still it's a big time franchise. We're coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.